Hey, what's up? This is Vince from Symetria, and you're listening to Music Existence.
Welcome to another instance of music existence, where because of music, we exist. My guest is Vince Santonastaso, the vocalist of the band Symetria. Right now, they got a single out called The Game. It came out June 25th. We're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into their self-titled debut album and just a little bit more into the life of Vince. Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
I can't complain. Good job on the name too.
So I know that one of your greatest um, guys that you wanted to impersonate originally was Bobby Blitz, from Overkill. And I was wondering, did it start out with those metal influences, or did it kind of germinate from rock and then kind of venture into metal?
Um, I mean, to be honest with you, it started out as a very, very young child, just with music in general. So it would have been, straight rock and roll back then. I was listening to the Hollies and as a younger kid, 7, 8 years old, riding a tractor, cutting the grass, it was Aerosmith, Def Leppard, and things like that, and it just progressed from there.
Oh, wow. So, talk a little bit more to the aspirations of music. You said, like, originally you were kind of born into this. The ambition was very, very natural. Was it instilled with you? Did you get a lot of support early on?
No, well, I would say mixed. Like when I was younger, elementary school stuff, you're doing like the chorus thing and stuff like that. So of course your parents come out. But then as you hit like your teenage years, music's a joke. Get serious about life, so on and so forth. So the support for the arts definitely wanes as you get closer to that whole having to be a responsible age thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really does speak to that level of pressure, When you were in high school, I mean, you were listening to Life of Agony, River Runs
Hmm.
Red. That's a huge album, a deep album. That album saved your life. Could you go into a bit more into that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to be totally honest with you, I went through your typical parents getting divorced kind of crap that spirals out of control into depressions and so on and so forth. And they actually diagnosed me manic depressive at like 15 or 16 years old. I spent a week in the mental hospital or almost 2 weeks getting, help and stuff like that. And a lifetime of on and off meds all through my teenage years and into my 20s. And there was definitely points in my life where questioning whether or not you wanted to go on and keep living the game and enjoying the dance were real questions. And that was always one of the go-to recordings, especially the song Through and Through. That would be if ever felt like I was really starting to teeter with that edge of my thoughts going to places they shouldn't be. That was one of the bands that was able to pull me through.
Did you feel like this kind of sense of like alienation? Like you had sort of a social life, but you didn't really belong?
Yeah, that's actually really really accurate. To tell you the truth, I went to a big school. My class had like over 400 students in it. The entire high school was like 1,500 kids, and as much as you kind of knew a lot of people, and a lot of people, high five you, wave to you, you head nod going through the hall and stuff like that. When it really came down to it, yeah, there was just nobody that you could talk to about some things. Yeah, you didn't have that kind of bond with anybody. Nobody. It probably wasn't until becoming a parent and stuff where you kind of start letting things get close to you again. For me, anyway. So there was nobody that I ever let in close enough to be able to even feel something like that when my emotions were out of control.
When you gotten older, you gotten adjusted to the parenthood role. Um, When did you feel it was safe for you to be vulnerable again and like finding somebody who just really understood you, let the walls come down, like you felt totally safe?
I'll be honest with you, it's something I still struggle with to this day. My wife has been a huge help, and yeah, honestly, I was very, very, guarded, and because I've got divorced myself, so this is, she's not my first wife.
Hmm.
So between dealing with everything growing up and already being on the defensive, ready for stuff to go wrong, and then ending up having, kids and raising them to a certain point and ending up divorced. And, all of a sudden you're in a motel room paying weekly and you're trying to figure out what's coming next. And, it getting involved with somebody again, you go into it very, very guarded. I don't want to say jaded, but very, very guarded. And getting close with my wife has been probably the biggest help in learning how to allow people to know more about you than what they just see on the surface, so to speak. But that took a couple of years. Like it was like training a feral dog. It was like my wife adopted a pit bull from the pound. It took me like a good couple of years to calm down and start trusting her. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's like the classic story of the kind heart between the rough exterior, underneath
Yep.
that.
At least that's the way I like to tell
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just an asshole, and that's no fun.
It's well put. So when it came to the bands, I know like you were in Blindside originally, and I know the other Blindside, but even with the Wise, like you ran into problems.
Yeah, so it was a unique experience. They Sumerian Records did a battle of the bands years ago for it was a spot to open up Knotfest back when Slipknot was doing that. I
Yeah,
want to say somewhere around 2012, 2013. And we had at that time we'd been going pretty good. We were drawing like uh Reverb, our home club down in Reading. Frank could throw us on a bill for a Tuesday night, and we'd managed to draw 20, 25 people on a Tuesday night in Reading,
right.
which anybody that knows local music knows that's actually pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it
you
is.
know so we entered the battle of the bands. We absolutely crushed it. We thought that long story short, uh, dude from Sumerian Records came up to us and he said, "Yeah, man, you guys are awesome. We'd love to talk to you guys about moving forward, but we can't use your name. No." Basically, the way he put it to us was because of commercial rights and advertising without it being seen and stuff like that. That it was going to be very, very, very difficult to find a label that was willing to work with us and combat that problem because and that was the moment where I realized what he was talking about. Like we had always thought just because we spelt it different, we'd be cool all the way up through. And then when somebody says to you, "Yeah, but how do I put an ad on the radio for Blindside and distinguish who's who?" And yeah, you're kind of like, "Oh, all right, you got a point."
Best case, you'd be lucky touring with the other. That's what
Yeah,
Blink,
right.
the California Blink and the Irish Blink did. They end up touring together after
Okay.
the initial contention. But you put out something with Blindside, right? Purgatory. Was that
Yep.
like far removed from what you're doing now with the more thrashy sound, or?
No, actually, I would think that if you really stopped and listened to both, now Purgatory was, it was a demo EP we put out that we recorded, I'd say within a year of getting together. So those songs were definitely raw and rushed and a little rough on there.
Mhm.
Um, so if you take so really, I think what's happened is an evolution of things, from the Purgatory demo of Blindside to the first Symetria CD, which was a much more classic, traditional sounding metal, to what we're doing now, really is a really good fusion of the sound of both bands. It's got the melody and the cleanliness and the crispness of the Symetria while also having that raw aggression and everything that comes with the. We used
Yeah.
to call Blindside like organized chaos. You know,
Yeah.
that was the best way to describe it. You know,
Yeah.
so you take the two of them, you throw them in a blender, you pour it out, and I think you're getting what we've been putting down.
Yeah. That's really cool. And with the Symetria guys, do you find it easier? I mean, making that transition with the Blindside members, was it kind of an easier time transitioning? Did you like get along like a lot easier, even with all the adjustments you had to make, like Craigslist, band mix,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff?
Yeah, I mean, really, Mike and Brian and myself have we've been making music together for going on 13, 14 years now, through both projects. So it's just like hanging out with your family, literally. I mean, we are so we know each other's thinking a lot of times. We can kind of tell where we're going to go with stuff. You know, you kind of feel when Mikey's going to make a change as he's coming up with a riff, and everybody knows there's going to be a change there because that's just we've all gotten to know each other that well. And then as far as the music being allowed to evolve, yeah, everybody's really just enjoying. Um, Honestly, every time we come up with something that sounds a little bit different, everybody kind of gets excited, you know. So at this point, we're really all enjoying letting everything develop and seeing where it goes. And there's no animosity, no arguing. Nobody ever is like shooting down ideas and stuff. Yeah, somebody very very wise said to me a long time ago, man. He says, if you ever start a song, just finish it. You never know where it's going to go, so finish it. Don't start shitting on each other. Don't shoot it down. Don't finish it. Figure out a way to put something together and let it happen. And I try to keep that philosophy, and that kind of spills over into the way we operate. We got stuff we haven't touched in a month and a half, but we'll go back to it and run through it a couple times, and then we'll let it stew a little longer and see what we're going to do next to finish the song off or something.
It's really helpful. And like, um, it really speaks to the level you are at now with Symmetria. I mean, your first album was with Trip Squad, right? You were with Trip Squad. How did
Yes, sir.
that get underway?
So that actually, that's another tie back to Blindside. We had gone
Oh,
and played for Tim, who was the owner of Trip Squad
Tim
Records up at
McMurdy,
his.
right?
Yep, yep. We went and played a show. We played two shows for him up at the Blue Room. So that's when I got to meet him, and that was back in the Blindside days. So as Symetria was developing, all that music that was recorded really came together in about 7, 8 months. So
Hmm.
I was talking to Tim on the phone one day, and I say, "Hey, man, you still booking shows up there? You know, I got a new project. It's a little bit different sound. Like to get in there." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He says, I'm starting a label up." And one thing led to another, and we ended up being his first signing.
Wow, awesome. And like Symmetria, how that came together, um it's almost like you're trying to find that unity in a disconnected world. That's how I view Symmetria.
Yeah.
Like that you've stuck with the dark and the light, the good and bad. That's what the yin yang says. And like who did you who did you work with for artwork? Because that's so defined. It's such a good, like solid complementary aspect
Yeah.
to your sound.
Yeah. The artist, I forget. She goes by Twitch on Facebook,
Twitch.
and she's an artist from Australia. The drummer at the time knew her. She
Oh
had done a
wow.
piece for them in a different project. So, and that was hand painted on a 3x3 canvas, and then taken a picture of and shrunk down to make the album cover for that.
Whoa,
Um,
that's gorgeous album
yeah.
art. Like that is like that'll really set you apart. And it again, like it speaks to your growth and it speaks to what you aim to channel. It's like you speak to that level of disconnect. It's almost like you you're on that grind. You're like punching in a clock, whether it's like figurative or literal, and like you don't even really know what you're doing, but it's like you're running on like a hamster wheel.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gleaned from it. And it's like you had a song called Flying High, and it's not even like being on cloud nine. It's about being aimless and like not really sure like where you're gonna land or if you're gonna land.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like so were you channeling all the stuff that you've had like from your formative years and it's finally getting back out, or even you said even so you have dealt with like more challenging thoughts. So at that moment were those that uncertainty, that sort of like being stuck on the grind, was that part of that lyrical influence?
For Flying High specifically.
Or just the Symetria debut album.
Um, yeah, I mean that you're that's very, very accurate. It was a very we tried to touch on some, various topics of what's going on in life. And, for somebody who listened to music and took as much from music as I always did my whole life. Like I remember when you would listen to a song and the song would help you get through a problem, and it wasn't necessarily the lyrics as much it was the emotional, the ride the song took you on. It would take you up, you'd understand, it would take you down, back up, bring it around. And the song itself had an emotional rhythm to it that, people would reach for songs that connected with them and they spoke to them, and it was to get through whatever was going on and to tap into that emotion. So now you fast forward to a bunch of guys in their mid 30s, writing some music together for the first time. And yeah, everything that comes out is going to be about all the shit we've dealt with in life, whether it was, addiction, whether it was drugs, whether it was depression, whether it was, being broke and having nothing left, whether it was divorce, whether it was, your dog dying. So I guess not, it wasn't a country album, right? But,
Yeah, yeah.
but,
But those
that's,
sorts of sentiments, right?
yeah. And that's the stuff that connects with people, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like mainstream music has gotten so shallow, and then underground music has its own little like pigeonholes of where it seems to get stuck. And I feel like what's really missing in the world is that big music that used to actually connect with people, deep down inside somewhere. and,
Hmm.
and that's what you try to. And I feel like the best way to get through to that and make that connection is to actually write music talking about the crap people deal with on a day to day.
Hmm. It's like and I like just the subtle shifts that your music takes. I really like that Where Did We Go Wrong EP, and especially Dreams, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um are they different in the rise than they are in the fall? Or if they're shattered, did they even exist in the first place? Like that kind of stuff, those sorts of lyrics get me thinking.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that, and it's cool because it's like we wrote that before all this Mandela effect craze stuff was going on, where it's like you don't even know what to remember properly anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it really is like it I like the subtle change in the game when you talk about the lyrics, and you're like, I know the end is the beginning. I know I said this once again. And then in the second verse you say, don't make me tell you this again.
Yep,
So
yep,
it goes back to that sort of like you're kind of living on loop
yeah,
on this
yeah. Like
hamster.
you gotta find the spot to get off the obelisk and figure out what else is going on in the world. If everybody just stays in the loop forever, nothing happens and nothing goes forward.
Yeah, it's the game, you
Yep,
know?
yep.
And there's always a time that you know, you're rising, you're falling, you're getting back up again. And I see the album art for the game is all or nothing. So you got like the Grim Reaper and then the Angel.
Hmm.
Is it like that kind of duality? Are you doing like a full length after this one?
So this EP has two more songs coming off of it. The third single is All or Nothing. That's the title track. And then it'll really depend on we have enough material to do a full length. That's not an issue. Like everybody else at this level, the cost
Yeah,
becomes the issue when you start talking about a full length.
yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to do a full length. It would be great to get back in the studio and lay down, the rest of the stuff we got. We got enough material for two more EPs. We kind of set
Yeah.
out on this with the plan to be do four EPs and then release the entire thing as a full length with, a couple new songs tacked on to the end of it as well.
It really
Um,
is smart, you know, it really kind of gets you thinking about the world. It's kind of like what Warrior Soul used to do,
mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm.
Corey Clark used to be. I don't know where it's at now, but Corey Clark used to be somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had a lot of really, really deep, meaningful lyrics.
Yeah. So you can relate to that. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, I kind of have like a Warrior Soul kind of vibe to it. And then of course from your phone length, Symetria. I think you had that as a single, right?
Yeah, that actually went out as a single on. It went out as a single, and then it was also put on the Metal on Metal compilation through Trip Squad Records that Tim put out
Oh
himself.
wow.
Yeah.
Metal on Metal, of course, homage to Anvil.
Yes, sir.
Metal on Metal. When you think back to channeling Bobby, because I know you do, was it more like Hello from the Gutter Bobby or like Horoscope Bobby?
Actually, I'm gonna throw you for a little bit of a curveball here. My favorite era would be your, Underground and Below, Killing Kind, like that 30 gritty.
Yeah,
All that cleanliness was gone a little bit from his
yeah.
voice, and he almost sounded like he could be spitting in
Right,
your
right,
face as he
because
was.
he was written off he was ripping off Halford like the first time around, but then he did his own style around like horoscope. Like it started
Yeah,
becoming more like New Yorkified and
yeah,
like
gritty and raw, and like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna
and
kick your
raw.
ass while
Know
I'm
what I'm
singing this
saying?
to you.
Kick your ass. But yeah, it's so cool like how they just like got heavier and heavier and kind of changed with the times. By the time they went to like started doing like Spiritual Void,
Hmm.
it's like they did like down-tuned guitars like when that wasn't even that common, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
in
Nobody
like
was doing it yet.
94.
Yep.
Man, that's a long way. And like it really is something when you go back in an artist's work and like you don't really like notice like that much of an evolution, but then like you go back and you're like, oh shit, there was something there, you know? And then when you go back to your own work, you're like, okay, we
Yeah.
started at this point and then like you go your latest work, I think, end of last year, and then into this year, the sound has gotten a lot tighter.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
work with did you do anything different like production wise, or did you like kind of tighten it like as time went on?
I think actually, believe it or not, a lot of that is a testament to the new drummer coming in.
Ooh,
He's got like a built-in metronome. It's really from the first practice he sat down with us, we were an instantly tighter band. and he is able to like listen to the studio recordings and he just nails it spot on. And if he's nailing it, everybody else is able to nail it, for the most part.
Yeah.
So really just him coming in, and he just graduated college. So we
Oh,
what this young fireball of a guy comes in and he's pulled us together and dropped us in that pocket. Absolutely. And he's been with us about a year.
wow. So what strikes you about him? Like, does he come with like a healthy dose of, I can do this and just watch me? Or is he humble about it?
Oh, he's definitely humble. He's always trying stuff. There's stuff that he's like, "Oh, that ain't me. I'm not there yet," stuff like that. But at the same time, his influence is as broad as mine. So, like,
Wow.
one of the first things that him and I connected on is he's a huge Alice Cooper fan. Now, I've been a huge Alice Cooper fan since I was a teenager. So, even though there's a 20 something year age difference between us, when you take the bands that he's listened to and been influenced by and what made him start playing music, we're coming from the same roots and then kind of go on our different directions. But it just creates a situation where it's easy to work together because you kind of feel the same things in music.
Mm-hmm. And what can you say about how the rest of the band takes to him and like takes to each other now that you're at this phase of your career, You have
Yeah,
like more stuff going and you already kind of established your kind of identity with the artwork, the introspective lyrics, and the heavy kind of thrash sound.
yeah. Everybody actually, Matt came in and like nobody even blinked an eye at how old he was. Dude came in, sat down. We played
Hmm.
through Pick Up the Ashes. He nailed it. And we were like, all right, man, let's go, and then got him ready for a show. And we absolutely crushed the show at Reverb there when we opened up for Liliac back in September. That was his first show with us, and it was our best show by far. So everybody's really just been, open and welcoming to him. There's no ageism, so to speak, involved at all. And yeah, everybody else too, for that matter. Like when Kevin came in, he came in as the new bass player when Danny dipped out after the first year or so. We were rolling again since COVID. And it was the same thing. He came in, he had his ideas. He's picked up the guitar and thrown riffs out that we've ended up playing around with that are working their ways into songs and stuff. That there's never any issues as far as how do people get along and stuff like that. And even when it comes to like, I don't want to call them problems because if there's no issues, there's no problems. But yeah, when something's got to be said or something's got to be changed or something's got to be tweaked, everybody's really, responsive to it. Nobody gets butt hurt. Nobody's, even if your feelings get a little hurt because it's how you wanted it and it's not that way, or because, yeah, you felt differently about something. I mean, yeah, we're all adults, and we treat each other like adults. We respect each other like peers and musicians, and we're working together with a common goal. The only way that develops is if you let it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just glad that you're stronger and even with your internal challenges, you seem like you're in like a healthier, more open, warmer, better space.
Oh, absolutely. Stuff like my mental health is the best it's ever been. My relationship wise, home life wise, stuff like that. I'm definitely living the most peaceful life I ever have, which is great because things look like they could get a little crazy here in the near future, music wise. But that's not one of those things you've been working towards. That's a welcome insanity.
So it's definitely it's improved drastically.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like our overall, not just the music itself, but our production of how we perform it when we get
Just
on
your
stage.
well-being in general as
Yep.
band members, as people, right?
Yeah, and being with the right group of guys helps keep all of that stuff in check. Whether it's the people around you at home or the people that you're making music with. If you're surrounded by the right people,
I'll tell you, man, like finding your people, that's important because there's so many people who are so dismissive. so dismissive, so indifferent to you, but you
Yep.
found the people who are so receptive to you, who you feel safe with, who you're able to feel like vulnerable with, who you're able to say what's on your mind with. That's huge.
Yeah, and that even comes out in the lyrics I'm able to write. Some of the stuff that like in the past, I remember writing lyrics and being like, you know what, they wouldn't like it if I said that, and scratching something out. The guys that are all involved right now, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If I got an idea, I got something that comes together, that's just the way it is, and they're supportive no matter what it is.
Yeah.
They tend to like a lot of the hooks and stuff that I've been coming up with, and that they like the direction the writing's going, and we're saying something a little bit different than a lot of the bands out there, and these guys are all for it.
Hmm. Yeah, like in general, when you write those lyrics, do they like sound good to sing, or do you have to do a little like editing here and there so it's not like too wordy or messes up your wording too much?
Yeah, that and so typically what'll happen is if we start riffing a new song together, I'll come up with something just to throw out so I catch a pattern that I like. And 9 times out of 10, it can be complete gibberish. I could be saying something like Mike's boots are yellow tonight, but it's just to get the pattern and the intonation and whatever I think is going to
My
fit. So I have
boots
an
are
idea.
yellow.
Yup, yup. Um,
It sounds good. And then you take like the vocal textures and the
yes.
syllables and you turn it into like something more poignant and serious.
Yeah, at that point, it really becomes more like writing a poem than it is
Yeah.
a song, because you're counting your beats and your structures and your intonations and your rhythms and everything. And it's a crapshoot. Sometimes I'll get back to practice the next time around and everything fits, and it's like, all right, cool. Other times it's like, oh, I forgot to leave room to breathe. This isn't gonna work, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I think it also speaks to remember Getty and Neil when they used to work together, when they used to write lyrics. um Neil, for the reader that he was in Rush, like his lyrics would be way too verbose. So they
Mm-hmm.
would have way too many words.
Yep.
And then Getty would have to like rockify the words so they would sound more him.
Yeah, and then there's like an art to figuring out, okay, I want to say this, but it's music. So I could drop this word and they'll still know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You would never talk like that in a sentence, but it's okay in a song.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome though
Yeah.
that you're aware of that. And it's all in that creative process. I remember there was this one, there was guy, the singer of 12 Stones that I interviewed a while back, for like some of his big hits. He would just like kind of mumble and like say words that like sort of made sense but had a good melody to them, and then eventually he would craft them into like words that actually had to do like with what he was talking about. It's so weird how people like come up with lyrics. They have their own individual systems, and
Oh yeah.
that's why I like talking to you about it, because you have your own thing too.
Oh dude, I've actually, like, we have practice recordings where you hear me go, words, gonna come up with some words, and here we're gonna put some more words. Just to know what I want to do. It's great, man.
Yeah. So, considering the career that you've had thus far and all the friendships that you've accumulated, the way better mental state that you are in now, what have you learned about yourself, not only as a musician, but as a person?
The biggest thing is to be very, very aware of what you commit to, and to be able to, always make sure you can follow through on what you say you're going to do. For one, that would be something that I think I've definitely learned and developed, and that hugely helps with your mental health because it keeps the stress levels down. If you're not always overextending yourself, always trying to please everybody, trying to get everything done, trying to do everything for everyone, and really just focus on, sticking to the tasks at hand, whether it's personal life or music. Say, all right, that we're gonna do one show a month because we want to do quality shows instead of stressing out about trying to play every Friday night or every Saturday night and stuff like that. To remember that you are affected by how much you put on your plate yourself, and to kind of regulate it just like you would your food intake, regulate your stress intake and what you're committed to.
Hmm. That's really well said, man. And lastly, anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Just, thanks for listening, thanks for being there. We see the plays numbers, we know people are checking it out, we know people are listening over and over, and we love it. We enjoy it. We enjoy when we're playing a show and people know the words and stuff like that. So we do it for you guys. We do it because we like to share what's inside of us with people that enjoy hearing it. So thank you very much.
And thank you, man. I had such a great time talking with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It was nice to talk to you.
Great seeing you, man. Great talking.
Yep. Have a good one, man.
You too.